Good day, welcome to Great White Retro. I'm Gord Fessick and this is my dog Gigi. Our topic today is retro brighting. We are going to attempt to clean up the case and keys on this Apple IIe and on this dual disk drive. So without further delays, let's get her done. Also known as Welcome to Cooking with Great White Retro. Here I am borrowing a technique from David Murray. I don't have a warming element on my stove, but what I do have is a double boiler. So I'm going to use this ceramic pot because I don't want to use a metal pot for these keys. There we go. Some of them kind of are a little browner than others. I did make an attempt at it once, that's why they're a little wet right now. But I'm going to use a little stronger hydrogen peroxide than what he used there. I'm going to try to make sure the temperature does not exceed 70 Celsius here, because I don't want to melt the keys, right? But we are going to cut it down to about 12%. That's again about what David Murray tried to use. Don't use the stuff that you just buy at the pharmacy. That's only like 3% and it's practically water. Anyway, so here we go, cooking our pasta here. Anyway. I got that turned down. I check this frequently to make sure that we don't go too high. Now for the larger pieces, I only have the slop sink here, but I do have a cunning plan. I've got two of the big UV lamps here, 150 watts a piece, which are available as a set from Amazon. Just suspending them over the slop sink seemed to be enough. There we go. See how bright those things are. And I've got a towel here to protect our eyes, basically, if we wander into the laundry room there. Now while we were getting that set up, I was going to start cleaning the case of this Apple IIe, being sure to remove these metal tabs that the case is used to fasten to the metal bit on the bottom of the case. And with those gone, I need to remove this cork label. I'm not going to be using cork, whatever version of cork, whatever it came with. And Toes came by to make sure that I was doing the proper job, inspecting my tools and inspecting the work area, making sure that Bridget doesn't get angry with me later. We call her Toes because she has extras. Anyway, after she was done her inspection, I was able to remove the label from this thing. I just opted for a cheap knife for that. The knives you get from Amazon, I wouldn't use to cut or cook anything, but for slicing off a label like this, it seemed to work just fine. There we go. Because I'm not going to be using this thing for any serious word processing. Follow that up with some alcohol to get the rest of the foam and adhesive off of there, and you can even start to see the original color of this Apple IIe case. A little more foam here than I wanted. But eventually I do get all of this off of here, and we can take a good look at the original color of this case. I follow up with some baking soda all over the whole rest of the case, another David Murray patented approach for cleaning up these older computers. There we are, not bad at all. Take a look at the top lid of the case here. You could see the white edge. In fact, you could see the white edge here where that cork label used to be. So that's the color we're going to try to get to. In the meantime, the keys have been boiling away. Again, I was checking it frequently to make sure they didn't actually boil over. And I'm rinsing them off here. The spacebar really brightened up for some reason compared to the rest of the keys. I wonder if that spacebar came from a different Apple IIe or maybe an Apple II Plus or something. All I know is that it turned out completely white compared to the rest of the keys, which are a kind of a dark purple gray, sort of. Anyway, the keys weren't consistent, but at least they were brighter and cleaner than what they were before. Back downstairs, we're getting ready with our big retro brighting slop sink. I brought a pot of boiling water down there for the initial heating and used tap water after that. The temperature didn't exceed 50 degrees Celsius, but it was good enough, and I ended up using the peroxide at full strength. I used half a bottle to start, and I used the rest of the bottle when I went to do the rest of the case. And here come those lights. About 2.5 hours later, I come back, and just to check on it to make sure it didn't float away, and well, just like David was, I was pretty impressed with the end result. The lid is practically white. Look at that. Compared to the original case, that's a very impressive change from just a few hours ago. I leave it in there for just a bit, and then I put the rest of the case in there, emptying off the rest of the hydrogen peroxide and covering up, leaving it in there for a good 3 hours. That was about the same time it took him to do his Commodore 64, about a year ago. Except I'm using brighter lights and stronger hydrogen peroxide concentration. And 3.5 hours later, I do come back, and well, it certainly is brighter, I'll give it that. But I noticed that at least one of the sides wasn't quite as bright as the rest of it, so there we go. You can see that it's back to the original color on the top, but the lid is a lot brighter than the sides of that case. So I just flip it around, cover it back up, and come back to it again in another couple of hours. Finally, once that was done, I came back, emptied the sink, and gave everything a good rinse. The other side, where it was a little darker, did brighten up some. You know, that's not bad. Not perfect, though. Not quite a match for the lid, but I'll take that. It wasn't going to get any better. So after that, the top and bottom pieces did come out really well. Not bad. But while that was going on, I was taking apart this dual disk drive here. And this ended up being a bit of a pain in the neck. I started by getting these rubber feet off here, using some alcohol to loosen the adhesive, and yet another kitchen utensil. Yeah, I didn't have much else handy at the time. That adhesive just came off with some alcohol, just like that, and like the Apple IIe case, I followed up with baking soda to get all of the dust and grime off of this thing. So, it cleaned up pretty nicely there. You can see those labels there, they were peeling off, so I just took them off. In fact, after doing that, I could see clear through to the original text was showing through on those. So I made sure to put those tabs in the peroxide tank as well. There we go, some alcohol, followed up with some baking soda, cleaned all this up rather nicely. And then it was time to take the thing apart to remove the mechanism so that I could clean these case pieces properly. There we go. Bit of RF shielding there. That ended up going in there. That's just aluminum foil on it, some kind of adhesive. These drives did take a little while to come out, but they did eventually come out. They seem to be literally joined at the hip there. That's a single piece there, that bottom and the front. I also removed the plastic bits from the fronts of those mechanisms. I also got this joystick that came with the kit. It's already coming apart. It's missing one of its screws and missing one of its feet, so I was going to fix this up, but I am careful to remove the joystick mechanism from the case, and I later removed those buttons. Finally, I put all this down in the new tank, and that rickety frame got replaced with a much more durable frame, as you can see there. I'm using glassware to hold all the pieces in place. That allowed the UV light to shine through and still hold these things underwater. There we go. Not bad. It's a very close match for the original case. The joystick turned out really well, almost as bright as the original case, as you can see on that lid there. The drive kind of matched the rest of the Apple IIe case. Maybe they were using slightly different plastics, I don't know. While that was all going on, I did a little bit of basic maintenance. I put some lithium grease on the rails of these disk drives, or at least I tried to, and I also used a cotton swab and alcohol to quickly rub the single drive head. These are single-sided disks. Putting these back in the case was really tough after putting all that back in. I don't know how I managed to do it. It was a really tight fit. I ended up cutting away from this and fitting it finally in place off camera. But I did get it in there finally. That ended up haunting me later because for some reason the left-sided mechanism would have a hard time accepting some disks, and I still have no idea why to this point. Putting the feet back, I used the same double-sided tape that was used for putting plastic up on windows. That worked really well on the one loose foot that was on the Apple IIe case, so I did the same thing over here. It's very thin, has a very low profile, and it hangs on quite well. There we go, put feet on there. That foot is not going anywhere. Let's try out a couple of games. And this is one that I'm finally glad to put in the done pile. Although I've got some work to do yet. The mechanism here is having a hard time letting me insert some discs. So what I think I'll do is I'll just swap the two mechanisms by moving the board over from the first to the other and just do that. So I can at least get this thing usable. I might try again, we'll see. Or I might just get an SD card reader and be done with it. In the next episode, we'll have some add-ons for this guy. And with any luck, we'll get some better sound out of here than just the built-in speaker. Until then, good day.